Belle, coming to you from my music studio in West Michigan. I am a piano teacher and a professional pianist, musician. I enjoy teaching and gigging and sharing what I love is music. I go by also Piano Sage as my YouTube channel because I love to share my wisdom and hopefully bring music into your home. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Belle's Piano Studio for rates and hooking up with lessons if you would like additional lessons aside from these videos. I also always would love tips at Money Sign Piano Sage for Cash App. If you like my videos, let me know. All right, so today's video is about improvising and arranging. So I'm going to be putting out tutorials on specific songs and different ideas on arranging and improvising, but I want to do a video just on the basics of improvising and arranging a song. When you go to learn a song, what do you do first? Now remember, everyone learns differently. Some people are more readers, some people are more by ear, some people prefer chord charts, a little bit of both. You want to be a well-balanced musician and be able to do it all, but don't feel bad if you've got a specific way that you learn. Play to your strengths and go with that. There's no wrong way to learn music. I believe there's pros and cons to both ways of learning. Both have their strengths. So figure out how you best learn it and go with that. I am going to be showing you how to play songs based off the chord charts through these videos and how to truly arrange it. You can adapt that to reading sheet music or doing it by ear. Also, make sure that when you learn these songs that you, I lost my train of thought. How to learn. Okay.
You can just start off with make sure when you learn these songs how coming together.
Okay. What did I last say?
Make sure when you play these songs.
I don't want to say that. That's what messed me up.
Okay. Just start from whatever you want to say and I'll just cut them together.
Okay. All right. So the first thing you want to memorize or remember, so the first thing you want to remember with improvising is that you don't want to be afraid to sound bad. A lot of us are afraid to try something new because we don't want to sound bad. Don't worry about that. Don't judge yourself and don't worry if other people do. You are trying something new and that's a big deal. But improvising is super fun and it's a lot of painting with sound and telling a story through sound and emotion. It's super fun and it's a way to really personalize music to yourself. Also, it helps with being able to write songs. There are many different styles of music out there. Part of learning music is identifying what your individual style is, which usually is a combination of stuff, and then also learning how to play songs in different styles. So the first thing you want to do when you learn to improvise is just to start small. First thing I ever did was just play one extra note in a hymn that I was playing. And then I started playing arpeggiated left hands. Then I started doing little textures and sounds with the right hand. And from there, I get better. You master a skill, you get better. Master a skill, get better. Just remember, just because you're not there yet doesn't mean it won't be there someday. The more you practice, get these chords in your fingers, also licks at different bass lines, you're going to have a lot of bags of tricks to bring to the table to be able to improvise whatever sound you want. The biggest thing is hearing it in your head first and then being able to know how to produce it on the piano, which I'm hoping my tutorials will help you with that. If you ever have questions or individual questions, you can go ahead and message me and I will help you out. So one activity that helps with improvising is also to just try to make up songs, just exploring the keyboard. Don't be afraid to move around and figure out what sounds like what. And a good activity that I learned from being a piano teacher for so long and playing duets with kids and playing these character songs with children is, one, you're not afraid to be goofy because it's fun, and two, you can paint with sound. Instead of painting a butterfly, I might make like a little fluttery. And that's my little butterfly sound. Or I might be like I'm in space. Or I might want to pretend like I made up a song about a bear to teach my kids the low end of the keyboard. So just pick a chord or just sounds, Play with it. Say, I'm going to sound like a character, and try to improvise something based off of that. Another activity is fun, is pick a genre, pick a song, and try to do that song in many different genres. Maybe you want to do a blues style, or honky-tonk style, or classical style, or romantic, or whatever you want to do. The sky's the limit. Just don't be afraid to just try it. And if it doesn't work out, you can always do it again and craft it. I like to craft the song and practice improvising craft licks and figuring out what sounds good by myself. So when I'm improvising in front of people, I already have some stuff worked out, but it's also spontaneous at the same time. So once we get past that freedom of just exploring the keyboard and making up different sounds and textures, let's talk about how to actually arrange a song. So let's take a song that we want to learn. So first thing you want to do is figure out, you want to map it out. Figure out the patterns. Our brain learns in patterns. So when we make it make sense to ourselves, we learn it better. So all music is a pattern. So there's the overall pattern, which is called the form. Please check out some of my other tutorials when I go more in depth about form. In a nutshell, that shows you the pattern of the song, whether or not it's for like a pop song, might be verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, like knowing where the different chords and verses end up. Is there a pre-chorus? Is there an introduction? Just map it out. You want to have a notepad. When you're a musician, you always want to have a notepad with you to write down lyrics, ideas, chords. Remember, you always want to write things down. Professionals, write it down. Amateurs, remember it. That's a saying my piano teacher told me. So write down your chords. Make it make sense to you. Listen to the song. That's the biggest thing. Listen to the song while you're looking at the music or the chord progression so you can hear where it makes sense. So you figure out the form and write out the lyrics. Figure out the pattern. Then you want to get the rhythm down. And that's the rhythm on the piano and the lyrics. So a lot of times we try to improvise right off the bat, and that we need to get the basics first. So the first thing you want to do is just block the chords and match up where they go in the song. So like, for instance, if I want to learn House of the Rising Sun, I would first block the chords and practice how that feels. Then you want to get to where you can sing it with the chords. There is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun. So that would be something I want to practice. Remember, it's not about the mistakes, it's how you keep going from the mistakes. So once I would nail that down, get the lyrics down, there's the rhythm of how the lyrics fit with the chords, and there's also the rhythm of where you go. Then the fun part comes. What I like to do when I try to first improvise a song is just to see what naturally comes out first. Now, one thing you can do with a song is you can choose to quote or mimic what's on the recording, or you can completely do your own thing, or you can do a mix. When I do House of the Rising Sun, I like to do like my own thing to give it its own character. Changing the tempo, changing the texture, can change the meaning of a song. And then maybe at the end, I can do what the animals did. And sometimes that's fun to bring back. And people like to hear what's familiar to them. So when I do a set of covers, I like to do a variety of styles. Maybe some songs I do completely like the recording, so people got that sense of familiarity with it. Sometimes I do it completely my own way, so it's a song they recognize, but my style, my way. And then sometimes it's fun to do an obscure cover they've never heard from an artist they love, and it sounds like a new song. And when you have people at live shows, you want to introduce them to new music, as well as play stuff that they're familiar with, if you're not doing your originals. So once I map out the rhythm and the lyrics, I want to come up with different textures. So there's different ways to create textures on the keyboard, and that's where it comes to exploring. If you want to look up licks, look up different ways, like I want to make a sound like a shimmy, I do this. If I want to make it sound like it's gliding down, I might do that. Play with different ways to make different textures. Songs or stories, whether there's lyrics or not, you want to convey a story and you want the accompaniment to accent or help that story. So if it's dramatic in the lyrics, maybe make it more dramatic in the piano part. If it's more intimate, you might want to go up high and play it soft and delicate. Have fun with it and give variety. A lot of times in a song, I'll do one verse one way, and then I'll change up the next verse in a different way. Sometimes I do it all the same way. Sky's the limit. Go with what feels good to you and what sounds fun for you. Remember, you're painting with sound. This is the fun part. Next from there, you want to definitely figure out what key you want to sing a song into. Don't be afraid to transpose. Please watch my tutorials on key signatures and scales to best learn how to transpose and work in and out of different keys. If a song doesn't fit your voice, play it in a different key. So that's where mapping out the chords and the lyrics will help you with that. And then you can write down the keys that you want to do. So now that we have fun improvising it, let's talk about how to make a really good keyboard part. So keyboards are so cool in the way, keyboards and pianos, is that we can be the whole orchestra. We can play by ourselves solo, we can play with bands. We can sound, if you have a keyboard, this keyboard can sound like many different pads. I can be an organ, I can be strings, I can be choir. This one has even more than that. Even on the piano, you can create trumpet sounds on the piano. You can create different textures with different ideas with keyboards versus piano. Think about how you're going to arrange a song depends on whether or not you're playing it by yourself versus whether or not you're playing with a band. So when you go to play with a band, you want to show up prepared, knowing your chords, and being prepared to craft it with your bandmates. A keyboard player part, a lot of people say, is to fill in the empty spaces. That advice helped me so much. It's not about showing off. It's not about being the fastest and the best. It's about playing what the song needs. So when you come into band practice, leave the ego at the door and do what's best for the song. When I'm first listening with the band, I just lay back, I just play something minimal, hear what they're doing, and then come up with a part based on that. And it's good to have bandmates where you can craft it together and talk about it. If I play with a bass player, I'm not going to do certain bass lines, whatever they're going to do. You don't want to be too busy, and you don't want to clash over what they're doing. If a singer's singing, you don't want to be doing something too busy. You want to lay back and then fill in licks in between the lyrics. Part of coming up with a good keyboard part is knowing your bass lines and coming up with cool counter melodies. So there's the melody that the singer's singing, and then there's what's called counter melodies. So counter melodies are little licks or melodies that you make up. A lick is more like something that's improvised that only happens once. A counter melody is a melody that you crafted that you might repeat. A good example of a counter melody is The Cure. Robert Smith's a genius at writing counter melodies. Whether or not they're buried in a string part for the keyboards or they showcase. I do a cover of Love Song. I do a mix of Adele's version where she's got this little counter melody. That's her counter melody. Then I come in with singing. Whenever I'm alone with you. That's the melody. Then there's Robert Smith's counter melody. A lot of times counter melody can be just as popular as the melody, and they act as a kind of a call and answer with each other. Music is communication. Music is a language. When you're playing with a band, you're playing with yourself. You got to think of like your left hand is the bass and drum section, and your right hand is the guitar and the singer. Or there's the guitar and the keyboard player, and you're the singer. Whatever textures you've got, play with if you're solo with one person or with a band, you're going to change how you arrange it. Also, I want to talk about now how to write a really good solo. So once you've got your basics down on where you're going to fill in textures, you want to be able to have the skill of having a good solo. So just a few tips on that. So one is first thing you want to do is you want to figure out the melody. So now that you've got the chords, and you can sing along, and you can come up with cool textures. Then you want to make sure you could actually play the melody on the keyboard. Now, you might not do that in the solo. A lot of solos are doing its own thing, counter melodies, variations on the melody, but you at least want to know what the notes are so you have a reference to get back to it. I like to maybe start the solo like it's the melody and then do my own thing, and then maybe end it, just to kind of give the people listening knowing that the solo's done, and also let your other bandmates know that you're done with your solo. Also, last tip, make sure when you're playing the solo in front of people, if you're doing something different, sing the melody in your head as you're playing it. So that way you know how you're relating to the melody, and you can keep up with the chord progression and end on time. Nothing's worse than soloing too long or not ending with the band. So I hope this helps with improvising. If you have any more questions, please feel free to message me. I love teaching music. I'm also will be doing these tutorial videos on songs. If you have any requests on songs to learn, I'm willing to do videos as well as individual FaceTime lessons. Thank you for tuning in. Keep rocking out and making music. Piano Sage signing out.